Addiction is a mental disease. My problem wasn't drugs, my problem was me. And I had to learn to change my thinking.
We use music as a catalyst for evidence-based therapy. 98% of our clients are regular people that are facing substance abuse issues, alcohol issues. Last year, we had to open our first residential mental health facility for people that aren't abusing drugs and alcohol, but have anxiety, depression, PTSD, and trauma. Because what we realized after COVID, you have this huge crisis where they stopped the supply of oxy, but the supply of fentanyl went up 100-fold. But then you also have people that are just battling life.
You know, I won a Grammy, I won 3 Prism Awards. There's no greater reward than having a parent saying, thank you for saving my child's life.
Shawn French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time. I confirmed it. A whole society determined society.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Determined Society. I'm your host, Shawn French. Before I introduce today's guest, please hit subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and let us know what you love about the show. So today, I have singer-songwriter Richie Supa, who his resume is very, very large, but I'm going to drop a couple names here with Aerosmith and Steven Tyler, Pink, Air Supply, an amazing, amazing professional in the music industry. And I have the founder of Recovery Unplugged, Andrew Sossin, with us today. We're going to get into it right now. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
Thank you. Love it.
Yeah, man, you guys are all close and personal over there. You guys are rubbing elbows. Look at you guys. Beautiful. No. So again, thank you so much for taking time to meet with me today and discuss Recovery Unplugged and what it means to society, the world, and the work that you guys are doing. So before we get into it, for the audience that isn't familiar with Recovery Unplugged, can you guys give a little brief description of what it is that you guys are doing and how it was founded?
Sure. So the backstory was over 13 years ago, I had several family members and friends in and out of treatment centers, and I was just lost in how to help them correctly. The revolving door culminated in one of my family members being arrested, another one ODing on a teacher's lounge and living, and a friend of mine, I was at a Tony Robbins event, and I was said it would be cheaper for me to open up my own treatment center than keep paying for other ones. And he said, well, I know some people that are interested in doing that with music. And I said, I'm not a musician, I'm not a therapist, I know nothing about it. And Marshall Geiser introduced me to Paul Pellinger, and Paul introduced me to Richie. And Richie had this concept already called Recovery Unplugged. And the second I met Richie, I knew that's what we were. Which started with us helping a couple of family members here in Fort Lauderdale in 2013, has now turned into 12 facilities in 6 states with us just helping positively impact our 18,000th individual.
18,000.
Yeah.
In 12 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it started with 20 to 30 people a month at the beginning, and now we have almost a little under 500 a month that we're treating.
Wow, that's amazing. Richie, what's been your journey in this with Andrew? Because I mean, I know you play a big part in it, and you're taking your own personal experience and bringing it into this venture. I mean, it's very interesting.
Well, after I wrote the big Aerosmith hit, Amazing, the response I got from people who had addiction problems captured my heart. And I started to write songs about, this is prior to getting together with Andrew, I started writing songs about this disease. And I wrote a song called, there was a website, which is the largest website for recovery, called In the Rooms. And they asked me to write their theme song. I wrote the theme song. We went and they submitted the song to the Prism Awards in Los Angeles. And I was up against, Eric Clapton and a bunch of people, great songwriters. And I won Song of the Year in 2009. And the response was just unbelievable. And then in 2011, I wrote a song called, what the hell was
In the Room?
No, not in
You've
the
done
room.
so many, it's hard for you to remember.
Last house on the block.
Yeah.
And I won again. And my heart was captured. I wanted to do something. So I started to go around with my guitar and play at detoxes and treatment centers, my one-man show called Recovery Unplugged.
Love it.
And I did that for a year and a half. And then the timing was such that I got to meet Andrew through Paul Pellinger and other people. And they think the treatment center was called Harmony at the time, right?
Yeah, when we first started, we opened up as Harmony Treatment Center for about 2 months. And then we met Richie. And when Richie came in one day and he did his Recovery Unplugged, they said, no, we're Recovery Unplugged. 24 hours later, Richie was our partner, and we've been Recovery Unplugged since that moment.
It was just like that.
Literally.
They wanted to think outside the box, and I said, well, why don't we call it Recovery Unplugged instead of Harmony, which is very vanilla.
Right.
And Andrew I remember him going like this. I like that.
That's it.
Listen,
And that's how it started.
yeah, I have
amazing.
zero musical ability. If I sang, the windows would break. And what I saw,
Same, bro. Same.
But what I saw the first time I saw Richie perform in front of people is people with their arms crossed, people that were angry, people that were detoxing, people that were just not in a good place. I watched them physically in that moment. They didn't radically change and they didn't wake up sober the next day, but there was a shift. And when I saw that moment, I knew we had something. And just for everybody out there, because there was a confusion, there still is. We don't do music therapy. We use music as a catalyst for evidence-based therapy. So 98% of our clients are regular people. They're just like anybody else, doctors, lawyers, teachers, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, cousins. They're regular people. Now, because of Richie, we do help people through the Grammy Foundation and Music Cares and the Sims Foundation. And so on a given, Thursday, we may have a rock star or the roadie in one of our facilities that we're helping. But for the most part, the people are regular people like everybody else that are facing, substance abuse issues, alcohol issues. And very recently, where Richie and I are sitting right now, last year, we had opened our first residential mental health facility for people that aren't abusing drugs and alcohol, but have anxiety, depression, PTSD, and trauma. Because what we realized after COVID was that, you have this huge crisis with people drinking too much. You have this huge crisis where they stop the supply, especially in Florida, of Oxy, but the supply of fentanyl went up, 100-fold. But then you also have people that are just battling life. And those people also need, the same help. We realize the modalities that we use with music, they work. They work across the spectrum. And so that's where we've encompassed it all together to try and help as many people as possible.
I mean, addiction, is a mental disease.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
My problem wasn't drugs. My problem was me.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to change my thinking. And our approach with the music is it helps, like Andrew said, it opens them up. It's non-threatening.
Yeah.
And they
we were
listen.
talking a little bit off air, and I told you how my wife and I, when we want to connect, we listen to music together. And then you mentioned, music is about connectivity, and it connects people, right? From, different paths, and, everybody has a story, and you're able to connect really well through music. And like you mentioned, it disarms you, right? It disarms. And I want to go back real quick. You talked about when you wrote Amazing, right? That big hit. Like I was watching some of that stuff, prior to the interview, and just you and Steven Tyler, on set singing that song, and I'm listening to his words. And, the overarching theme is life is not about the destination. It's about the journey. Right. And I love this because I'm getting goosebumps, like no joke, guys, because a lot of my platform, I talk about, hey, do the small steps every day. Forget about what that macro result is you want, but let's focus on the journey and who you become within that, every single day. And, you're out there for a year and a half doing Recovery Unplugged just by yourself. And then all of a sudden you're doing that every single day. And Andrew, you guys have Harmony, right? And you're doing what you do every single day. And all of a sudden, when the time is right, connectivity. And because of music, now you guys are working on your 18,000th patient. This is incredible. This is about doing the work every day with purpose and it opening up to something so much greater.
I just want to say, from me, you know, I won a Grammy, I won 3 Prism Awards. There is no greater reward than having a parent hug me, crying, saying, thank you for saving my child's life. There's no comparison. And I was taken. I literally stopped as a professional songwriter and started this journey because I can't keep what I have unless I give it away. And God blessed me with the gift of writing songs. And how could I turn my back on that?
I would also, you know, take that and say, for my own family, my kids have a grandmother, aunts, cousins that have all been through our program. And they're alive today because of it, and everybody else. And, you know, it's interesting, you know, because I didn't tell you this part of the story, but you brought those words up. So 22 years ago, I was at, I've done work with Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Esther Hicks over my life. I was in Fiji at a Tony Robbins seminar, and Marshall, who introduced me to Paul and Richie, was with me at that seminar. And I was young, and he literally said to me, Andrew, life is a journey, not a destination. I wrote those words on a piece of paper, put them on my desk next to my bed, and I looked at those words every single day of my life for the next 10 years. And then I randomly, or not, whether you believe in the law of attraction, the universe, or God,
Love it.
end up with Richie, who wrote a song with that as its chorus. So, you know, I believe that this was more than chance.
Sure.
It's a God.
You know, and then
come on.
even going
Yep.
forward now to see what happened over just the last 2 weeks, about a little over 6.5 years ago, Richie got a call from some people in the music world. There was a gentleman that needed help, that we needed to, you know, help and partially scholarship, which we did. Richie took him under his wing, and he became part of our band. And he was on The Voice last week and was chosen by Michael Bublé, you know, and is now currently a contestant on The Voice. And that's a testament to what we are, what we do. But really, Richie, in taking, you know, Adam and helping to build him back up with music in our process.
And you're referring
Yeah.
to Adam David, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
He actually on day one sat in my groups with his arms crossed,
Wow.
head down, total walls around him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and I heard him, you know, I started a thing called open mic on Wednesdays, and I heard him sing, and I sat him down one-on-one. I said, you have a gift. You have a gift. I'm telling you, as a professional in the music industry, that you have a gift that you don't want to destroy with drugs.
Wow.
And I'm going to work with you. And I stayed with him and on him, and encouraging him to play some song ideas. I played him some of my songs, and it was like, it inspired him. And again, it was connectivity.
Sure.
We connected through the music and my journey, because I had a lot of years clean, and I was part of Recovery Unplugged, and look where he is today. Now.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Look where he is today.
Mm.
That's
Praise
the magic.
God.
That's the magic.
Yeah, it sure is. You know, it's funny. You're talking about, we keep going back to the word connectivity, and there's a reason, right? So when I look at your concerts, right? Whether it was you and Steven Tyler, Flo Rida, I'm looking at the crowd. I'm looking at the residents within the facility, and I'm seeing some super open and, you know, and just flowing with it. And there was just one, right? I believe it was the Flo Rida video. I saw her in the front with her arms crossed, kind of looking around, wanting to come out, but I can see in her eyes that she was wanting to, but wasn't comfortable yet. But then as the video continued, you can see her facial expression changing to a little bit more joy, because there was so much love and fun going on around her. And again, the connectivity of the music, having someone big like Flo Rida on the stage, right there in your little room, was pretty dang cool. It was, but it gave them a chance to just be and connect.
And that, you know, that's one of the things that I saw very early on. So you could go to our facility in Austin, Nashville, Charleston, DC, now Jersey, or Florida, any of them. And what you'll see, because again, people don't come for a day, people are with us for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It depends on the situation. But you'll see somebody's first couple days on their first Feel Good Friday, for the most part, they got their arms crossed, they're sitting in the back. And maybe they're tapping their foot. And then by the second week, they're in the next row and they're moving their arms. And by the last week, they don't want to leave. They're in the first row. They're singing along. They're jumping up and down. And and I saw that from day one, which is why I stopped everything else I was doing to do this and have been, because I realized that you don't have to be musically inclined, right? You can feel that, from the moment you are there, regardless of the music, right? We've had, hip hop, we've had country, we've had rock, we've had classical musicians. We have, Carl, who's a Juilliard trained violinist. Even in our detox facilities for people that are coming off of, heavy situation, we have sound and frequency rooms now where we still believe, just so we're clear, we believe in MAT and MAT. What do I mean by that? Medication-assisted treatment and music-assisted treatment. So somebody will still get their 10 milligrams of Ativan or Valium, but that's instead of 20, and we'll use the sound and frequency to calm their body down so they're less out of it and more able to work on themselves.
Mm. The one thing that I admire most with you gentlemen is, again, very successful past. As you mentioned, Richie, you left the music industry to do this solely, and Andrew, you left some things that you were doing to focus on this. It is an energy, but what it mostly is two people leading with a purpose and something that's so fulfilling. And I think that I know that more people need to adopt living in purpose and making impact over income or fame or anything like that. And because you guys have done that so consistently, you're changing lives and you're saving lives.
That's true. Andrew has a purpose. I felt it from him, and Andrew felt my purpose. I was there because I had to be there. I wanted to be there, but I have to do what I have to do. And the power of a song written correctly is priceless. And Andrew knows, because he's seen me a few times, I don't tolerate too many people going like this. I will actually go to them. And some of them are a little, afraid of my celebrity. You know what I mean? And so I open them up. Can I get a hug from you? And it's like, you want a hug from me? And because I know how this disease operates.
Yeah.
It's cunning and insidious.
And the people don't feel worthy as well. And that's the true, testament to what we do in building people's self-worth back.
Yes.
Which is why, when Richie created Open Mic, so again, 98% of our people have no musical ability, no writing ability, but the therapeutic process of writing the lyrics of their life that they get up and perform. And when I say perform, they speak them.
Yeah.
But now they're speaking in front of a room of 20 or 30 people. And every one of those people, they feel seen, they feel heard, and what they say matters, which for the most part, whether they're in our substance abuse facility or our mental health facility, they haven't felt that in maybe ever, or at least in a long time. And so because we use that sense of purpose and connectivity, it builds the person up. And then from there, we use the, evidence-based traditional therapy.
It's interesting, guys, because, I look at this, obviously music is art, and what I do is an art in its own right, interviewing people and things like that. And when I started this show, I started it with an iPhone in a car, and I was just venting. And for me, it was getting things out. But also what I noticed is, I had that imposter syndrome earlier. Who the heck am I to start a podcast? No one cares what I have to say. So it was that self-worth, right? And I continued to do the work. And what I found was, even when I would go on a rant, it resonated with somebody and it helped somebody heal. And I'm like, wait a second, this could be so much bigger. So I doubled down on it and I kept working. And then all of a sudden, now I have this massive team behind me, and we're able to get this message and have conversations with you two legends on the show to talk about your impact and I'm making impact by delivering it.
Oh, I also believe that that's what you just said is because you're genuine and you're not afraid to use your voice for something that matters. And you said rant. Last night I was with Michael Rappaport, and people could think whatever, he's out there, but I love the fact that he is genuine. I love the fact that he says what he means and he has a following because of it. And I agree with some of what he says. But when he was talking about podcasts, somebody asked him last night about podcasts. He said, if you're genuine and you're not afraid to use your voice for what you believe in, that's what makes the difference. You're not trying to be somebody you're not. And when I've watched some of what you've done, it's incredible because you did start in the car, and you are having, last week, the big actors, and you have people that are who they are, that want to be part of this because your message means something. And I believe today people are craving for meaning. They're craving for purpose, right? You could sit on Instagram all day and see the fake world, or you could tune into what you're doing and some others that actually have a meaning and a purpose, which is what people are searching for.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you for that, because to me, I always, when people meet me in person, like when we meet, you're like, you're the same guy. And to your point, social media does, highlight some of most of the highlight reels of things. And when you meet somebody, sometimes the energies don't match. And to me, that's scary and that's dangerous, right? And so for me to use my voice, I had to get very comfortable with me in order to do that. And as I progress, I'm bringing more of me, more of my opinions, and not worrying about how it's going to be, I guess, viewed or received by people that aren't my people. Like there's people out there I'm sure hate my show. Cool. You have that, you have that right. But what we're doing here is I'm never going to speak untruthfully. I'm going to be genuine. I'm going to be authentic. I know these are buzzwords, but here it's real, right? And that's why, to your point, I've been able to grow at a rapid pace. And that's why you guys have grown at such a rapid pace, because it's real.
Well, and it's also, when I first met Richie, I didn't understand at first what this could become, right? I still, in the beginning especially, was, this was not an inexpensive thing to start. There's a lot of risk, that I took for this to be here. But I knew that the moment I met Richie, whether he was performing and who he was performing with, and he was sitting next to me and there's cameras around or no cameras around, he's the same person. And when that person walks through the door that needs help, Richie drops what he's doing day or night to potentially save their life. And when I saw that, I said, all right, he's all in, I'm coming all in. And,
See, I come from a very large ego-driven industry. And I have to admit that when I was touring with Aerosmith and writing all the big hits for Tom Jones and Glenn Campbell, and I had an ego this big. But my disease took me down and I hit rock bottom. And recovery taught me how to separate who I was from what I was. Who I was the rock star ego guy. What I was a heroin addict. And it separated me. And today I can look myself in the mirror and say, I'm the most humble person you're going to want to meet. I don't change from day to day anymore. And this journey is so enriched my life. I get thousands of texts from clients. Our treatment center, they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave. I went through 2 treatment centers and I left both of them because somebody was shaking their finger at me going, let me tell you what you're doing to your life and with the use of cocaine. I don't need that. We don't do that. Okay. And so we have a very low AMA, which is, against medical advice. People leaving because of they by the time they leave, they feel like it's family.
Yeah.
I started a thing called lyric analysis where I would set everybody up in a circle and I would hand out the lyrics to my songs and I would play it. And I said, raise your hand if you relate to a lyric. And all the hands kept going up around and they're facing each other and talk about the connectivity. they felt like family. They didn't feel alone anymore. Oh wow, you did that too? Because the stuff that I wrote, I mean, have you heard anything off my the CD Enemy?
I don't think so.
Oh, then you would understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
To this day, I was just telling you, it's number 6 on the Reverb Nation pop charts
Wow.
after all these years. Because
And all these songs, when Richie first came to me, and I joked that I've now produced 3 different albums. Again, no musical ability. I couldn't tell you what's good or bad.
It's about
but
who
I've
you know,
produced-
baby. It's about who you
Well,
know.
I learned that produce just means paid for, but I could call
Yeah.
myself a producer. But I remember we were making the album, and we went to George's studio,
Yeah.
and he's got pictures of the wall with Madonna and Lady
Oh, yeah.
Gaga, and we were making this album. Richie was making it. I just sat there. But as it was being made, I knew what this was going to do. These songs, and we've now been using that. How many years? 7 years ago? 8 years
yeah,
ago?
yeah.
And we've been using that as the basis. When people come into Recovery Unplugged and when they actually leave Recovery Unplugged, we have an entire medical team that decides the therapeutic process when they leave, the intensive outpatient therapy, the medication they may need, and the musical prescriptions. And again, the musical prescriptions, just to be clear, that doesn't mean that somebody listens to a song and it stops them from doing something, right? But what it does do is it reminds them to stay in the present, call their sponsor, go to a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And we have now 8 years of data from Nova Southeastern University on why what we're doing actually works. So we have an over 50.3% success rate, which is 4 times better than anything in America, not because I say so. And let's just say there are certain West Coast places that claim to be the cure. There is no cure. There is no silver bullet to the disease of addiction. But if we can increase the chances of people staying clean or sober and or reduce the time of a relapse, which is also successful, then we know that we can make a positive change in people's lives.
We
Love
make
it.
recovery fun.
Yeah.
I keep going to that word connectivity because it's magical. When they leave there, they feel family.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel alone anymore. Addiction isolates people, causes them anxiety and depression. What we do, we bring everybody together. We create an energy, a positive, fun atmosphere. Recovery can be fun. A lot of the traditional recovery treatment centers didn't make it fun, made it scary.
Mm-hmm.
Made it scary.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And I'm glad the audience, and if you're listening right now and you have any type of mental illness and you struggle with something or even addiction, like Recovery Unplugged, think about this. Go look at it on the internet and see if it's something for you, because what you're talking about right now is when people go, or when a family member sits another family member or friend down and says, hey, we think you have a problem. We need you to go to recovery. The only thing I would imagine, I'm not an addict, right? But I can imagine the feelings of shame.
Oh, the shame, the guilt, it's
Yeah.
it's the first thing that happens. And so, that's one of the reasons why people don't end up doing anything.
Mhm.
When we started this, the idea is how do you break that in the beginning? And so what's very interesting is that once we get, and at this point we have 24-hour life-saving center, we have interventionists, available at any given point in time. We have people that'll go do sober transport, because we have places in 6 states now, but people come from all over the country. So somebody calls up and says that their mom or their family member, their kid needs help, and they may not, get on that plane to come over. Well, somebody will go help them come. But the point of breaking down that first barrier is the key that we have our people do. And then on day 1 or day 0, we call it, somebody's coming into town or they're getting picked up from somewhere. In addition to finding out their name, their medications, their insurance, we find out the music they love, the music they hate, what they associate to happiness, sadness. And so the first moment of their interaction with us, we have a song playing. And I've seen this now thousands of times, literally, where they'll go,
Oh, you like that song too? Oh, wow. That's my favorite song,
I love
And-
that.
Yeah. Little thing like that is so magical.
And it
Well, God-
builds the first piece of
Puts the first brick in the foundation of the process of recovery.
I keep going back to impact in my mind. The only way we can make a true impact is if you care.
yes.
And what you guys are doing is doing enough work up front to see what potentially might make that resident feel more comfortable immediately.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, instead of walking into a scary moment and I'm here now and it's meeting after meeting and I'm labeled this addict, and that could be scary, I would imagine. I mean,
Very scary. Because most addicts, I just want to say, most addicts, they don't see life without the use of drugs.
right.
They see a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do now? And that's a very scary place to be.
How do you help them work through that? I mean, I know the traditional, the medications, the therapies, the music and everything, but specifically that right there, that is a tough spot, right? How does that work at Recovery Unplugged and getting them through that, initially or even, quickly as possible?
Well, like I'm a power of example, okay? My disease took me to jail. I mean, I wasn't going to mention this, but I was arrested. My journey goes from Madison Square Garden to Rikers Island to Sing Sing. And I spent a bunch of years sitting in a cell in what they call protective custody because I was famous, and I had a dead end. I was at a dead end, and it's a very scary place. So I use myself as power of example and how I got my life back. That this journey is one day at a time.
Mhm.
It's not an event. It's a journey. Okay, if you use drugs for 15 years and you walked into the woods for 15 years, you can't turn around and walk out in 15 minutes.
Come on.
Okay, hello.
Yeah.
It takes a process,
Yeah.
and to have faith in the process. And by us making the process fun and positive, they jump in on the wagon and they ride with us.
And from that, when people, how do I say this? We take insurance, and most people have their insurance. Luckily, most people have insurance, and so a lot of insurance dictates that people get X amount of days of treatment. But recovery from alcohol, from substances, from mental health, it's a lifetime, right? We don't push that in the beginning of thinking about a lifetime, but it is. So we have a process for the beginning few weeks, the next few weeks, the residential treatment, the PHP, partial hospitalization, the intensive outpatient. And one of the things that we also created was our alumni program. So when we first started, our alumni was a couple of people. Well, I have 18,000, right? We're at 18,300 now, and every day there's more. 18,000 alumni. So in every one of our cities, we have weekly events together. They go bowling together. They go to the movies together. We started a new thing last year called Sober Sessions, where we have concerts. In the first concert, we had 30 people, then 50 people. The last concert in Nashville, we ran out of space. 800 people showed up.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And so, and now we have people from outside of our own ecosystem. They're bringing their ecosystems in, but it builds the power of community. Because in day one, what do? We figure out how to connect to people, meet them where they're at, right? Right when they first get to us, they don't want to be there. They're not happy, whatever it may be. Let's take the first week of detox. No matter who you are, that's going to be rough. Now you're in a residential setting. You're not completely out of it anymore, and you're getting that process going. So every morning, instead of people writing, "I'm going to be happy today," we don't do that, right? We don't do that. Right. We start with a pump-up group. We start with where we get people physically moving.
Love it.
Right? And not just our clients, our staff.
There you
If
go.
you're part of Recovery Unplugged, again, no musical ability, I have no dance ability, but when I'm here, we are all moving, we are all singing, right? And we have different music. We have different music, not just for our clients, but for our staff. Because we realized very early on, was that when our nurses, when our doctors, when our therapists, when they feel better, they're better with the clients.
Mm-hmm.
So if you walk through any recovery unplugged anywhere, you'll hear everything from, Metallica to Kendrick Lamar, to Aerosmith and everything in between, because the staff is listening to what keeps them, grounded as well.
I love the leading by example aspect that you're talking about, right? Movement, right? Movement. So whether you're working out, running, or dancing, it's still movement, right? You're breaking that inertia, right? As that first movement that you make throughout the day, whether you're in recovery or just, super tired from all the pizza you ate the night before or the sugar, like that first move is hard. But once you get moving, the juices start flowing. And it's always nice to see when the people in charge are also living examples of that, right? And it all goes back, guys, to you're best equipped to help the person that you used to be.
Yes. Exactly.
I've been saying this myself, and we say this here, is, you're not comparing yourself to anybody in this room. You're comparing yourself to who you were yesterday.
Yeah,
And
come on.
I believed, with our staff, with my partners, with my friends, with my family, with my kids, in constant, never-ending improvement. I've done my best to live my life in that fashion. We first started, I remember sitting in our first conference room, which was literally the folding chairs and tables from my garage, right? That's how we started. And then we were able to buy desks, and then, all the computers. And when we had 20 employees, it's like, okay, how do we make sure that we keep their mindset correctly so that their mindset is correct for the clients? And then we had 30 employees. And I remember saying to Richie, we may have 100 people, working with us. And now we just hired our 501st team member.
Come on.
Which is incredible.
That's insane.
What's more insane is that 75%, give or take, are in recovery.
Yeah.
And if I look at the directors of our company today, we have 22 leaders, executive leaders. Over half of them were clients. We're clients that were sitting in our detox, going through our program, coming in literally off the street, that now have 20, 30, 50, 80 people working for them. One in particular, we helped her get custody back of her children and is living and so to me, not only seeing the clients, but now I get to see, they sat in the back of Richie's first Feel Good Friday and tried to leave. And now they're a leader of our company, leading other people. They're leaders leading leaders, to make a positive impact and a change. And so that's what really, to me, is amazing and incredible from where we are, where we were to where we are. And then going forward, again, we're now embarking on, helping with residential mental health. We're now embarking on the Recovery Unplugged virtual services. So, prior to 2 years ago, we just did it here. Now we have over 200 people a day doing intensive outpatient after they finish our residential program from home, from their car, from their office.
Amazing.
And that's now growing to where I believe that by the end of this year, we could potentially have 1,000 people a day in that program alone.
It's one thing to help the individual that's in the program. It's one thing to help them get clean and to help them stay on the path after they graduate the program. But it's another to impact the generation below them, which is their children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a child that is ripped away from their mom or dad because of addiction. And I can't imagine the parent losing that child because of the addiction. But for you guys being able to bring it full circle and get the custody or timeshare back, dude, that's a freaking moment, man.
It
really is.
It's why we do what we do, with all of the challenges, and there are challenges.
Sure.
24/7, 365. Trying to help people, dealing with insurance, dealing with people. But that's life. Whatever you do, I tell those people all the time. If there were no problems, I'd be concerned because that means I'd be dead, and I choose not to be. I prefer not to be. So I know there's always going to be challenges and problems. But we're not making a widget here. We're not making, building a table. We're building people. We're building people back up. And we get to see the result of somebody that literally comes in mentally, spiritually broken, and what they can become, whether it's, Adam David on The Voice, or Erica, who, went from, and she's very public about her story, where she was on the streets to, raising her kids and being the director of a part of our company right now. And so that's what, keeps us going here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that to me, like, do you guys ever take time? Like, and I know it's hard because, when you have a purpose and the job's never done, right? I'm sure job's not finished. It's never finished. There's always someone else or someone, there's someone in recovery that's graduated, the alumni that you're working with, that you're helping, that you're employing. Do you guys ever sit there and just look at each other and just smile and give yourself some serious love for what you guys are doing? Or do you guys just stay focused on the prize consistently?
I mean, I not only do I stay focused, but I'm so grateful that I'm in a position to do what I do. And I do, when clients leave, they message me on Facebook. They find me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many messages I got. Thank you for saving my life. Now I go to meetings, and on my way to the meetings, I play Last House on the Block, or I play Busy Dying, or I play whatever. Because the album is all over the internet, and there's 93 million people in recovery.
Yeah.
So, I can't get into it now, but, a couple of my big rock stars who are friends of mine who are in recovery want to do maybe another recovery album, together. It's like, we'll win a Grammy.
Well, come on now. Why not?
So
right?
We'll see. Yeah, we're working. We're seeing. Yeah, we're checking.
I'm encouraging, subtly
I
encouraging.
will also encourage. I will also encourage. I will also.
Yeah. I will say this, there's a lot to do still. So, I wake up every morning, and when I pray every morning, I'm grateful for what we have. I'm grateful for what we've done. I'm grateful for what we're going to do. So I wouldn't say we spend too much time reflecting at the moment, because there's a lot. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. But I am cognizant. I fly a lot to all of our facilities, right? I'm always on a plane somewhere. And so I always wear our shirts. Music is our medicine. Talk to your doctor about music. And I get stopped. I have not now I go to the airport once a week. I have now not been stopped, I think, in the last 3 years. Every time I fly, by somebody that doesn't stop me and say, my so, or themselves was positively affected by Recovery Unplugged. And so, especially because now we're working with, now that we have the contracts with certain airlines, I have stewardesses, pilots, baggage handlers that literally come up to me and thank me, or they're asking, and I just tell them I work there. It makes it easier. And they all say something positive that we were able to do. So that's the reflection, I guess, that those moments, they reach out to him online. I see people in person, weekly that we've positively impacted.
The reason I asked that question is because I have a very hard time reflecting and celebrating too. And so I always like to ask, high-level individuals, like, are you taking the time to celebrate these wins along the journey? Because if we don't, we can kind of lose sight of what it is that we're actually doing. Not the purpose, but, am I making that impact? So I'm personally trying to do a little bit better in celebrating certain things. Like, I'll share things that we're doing really well here, and then people pop into the DMs, congratulations, go celebrate. My buddy today, we showed up on number 2 on Spotify in business today. Whoa. And, and that's a big win. Thank you. That's
awesome.
And it's been a grind, but it's been fun. But my response was, job's not done. I just heard Kobe Bryant, and I don't know if you remember this, when he was up 2-0, right, in the finals, they said, are you happy? He's like, job's not finished. Job's not done. Did we win? Is it over? Job's not finished. So high performers always have that, okay, foot pedal down. but I also, I'm going to acknowledge you two because you're not going to do it for yourselves, right? On a consistent basis. You guys are amazing and you guys are changing lives and saving lives. So I think it's definitely something to celebrate.
Look, I agree. And I've also followed Kobe, Michael, LeBron, Steph, and from football, basketball, baseball, which I watch, to be at that level, whatever you do, and if you look at these guys, and women in their prime, right? The Williams sisters, like they acknowledge after, or when they're injured and they're forced. All right. So 3.5 years ago, I was in a explosion. I was on fire. First degree, second degree, third degree burns. On my
You were?
feet. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Barbecue explosion. And so I was forced, lived in the burn unit, couldn't walk for months. I was forced not to move. I was forced to, I did a lot of reflection. So I felt like that, those several months gave me like a decade's worth of time. And I think one of the best parts of that, looking back at trying to find the positives, was when I was in the hospital, I used what we do at Recovery Unplugged in my own recovery. Sure. I asked every one of the nurses which songs they liked. And so the first nurse, she loved Enrique Iglesias. So every time, and my hands were burnt, so only my thumb was available, all my fingers were burnt, but I was able to use my thumb, and I had a speaker brought in, hooked up to my phone, and I had Enrique Iglesias playing. And then Javier, who I'm still in touch with, he loved Metallica. Okay. So literally, and if anybody knows about burns, it's the hardest, it's painful.
Yeah.
But when they had to change the bandages, I had their music playing, which made them feel better. And I literally used what we do at Recovery Unplugged. And my favorite part of that was one of the nights, 2, 3 in the morning, burn unit, everybody's in pain. I realized everybody was up. I got a consensus of music, and we're all in our beds, people that were missing limbs, and I've got everybody feeling good listening to some Bob Marley, and I had nurses coming in the middle, like they got a club going on in the middle of the Ryder Burn Unit at Jackson Memorial, but it was a testament to just proving, what we do works. It works in, recovery. It works for people battling mental health. It works for people, battling burns in the burn unit.
I mean, listen, there's certain go-tos on the way to the studio for me.
Oh yeah.
And it's usually Eminem, right? I mean, like, it's just, it is what it is. Like, I have certain connections with certain bars or lyrics that he's spitting that get me in a mind frame. It's time to lock in, and it's also a joyous event for me. So the time in my vehicle, it's almost like, I'm like, hoping nobody calls me, right? Because, for me, that's my, I call it active meditation, just like it is in the gym in the morning, right? I don't like talking to people at the gym. I like diving into music, and I like that active meditation because I'm able to put my mind in a place and lock in on certain things that I can't do otherwise, right? So
I have several friends that have asked for, we've given out over, I think I stopped counting, I think about 20,000 legitimate shirts at this point. And I have a couple friends that they said they can't wear our Recovery Unplugged shirts to the gym because people stop them to talk to them about what we're doing every set.
It's amazing.
Have that problem.
So Richie's at the gym all the time, which is why he's looking so and feeling so good.
He's looking so svelte.
Yeah.
He's in his 80s and has more hair than I do. Good Lord, man. I'm worried about me.
Don't worry about it.
No, you look good. And so I'm a large, by the way. So when I come over, I will sport that for sure. So you. As we land the plane here, guys, like, it's been a great conversation about what you guys do. And I know the audience is dialed in, and, my audience loves this kind of stuff because either they're dealing with addiction or mental illness, or someone in their family, as you know, has been touched by it, or friends. What's next for Recovery Unplugged?
So, one of the things, in addition to our growth, right, we're opening our 12th location in Jersey next month, and looking at some other locations as well. And one of the things we've recently done is on the virtual side, being able to, because not everybody could get to us. And there are certain situations where somebody, goes to a quick detox in their local area, but they still need intensive outpatient. So us growing the Recovery Unplugged Intensive Outpatient, as we still have all of our places, I believe will exponentially be able to help people. And then we partnered with Good Thoughts, which is a new AR, VR therapy platform for people to go to therapy as avatars, where they have the shame and the guilt and they're not able to connect. And that would be step one. In the goal there is to get people to get the therapy they need as an avatar and then do a Zoom and then come in person. And so leveraging technology, you'll never, I don't care what, AI robot comes around, and I believe all of them are coming, and that's fine and that's great. You can't replace Richie Supa at this point. We can clone him, but you can't replace him. And you can't replace, at the moment, the human connection. So we use Recovery Unplugged uses technology every day with our therapists. We have HIPAA compliant AI taking notes so the therapists can do better. We now have, the partnership with Good Thoughts to do the avatar-based therapy, but we're still using human beings, helping human beings, and leveraging, right? 5 years ago, we couldn't do this, right? We'd have to get in the car, drive 2 hours, figure it out. We're leveraging technology to be able to help more people, and that's the future of doing it the right way.
Love it. Love that.
You can't match human versus human connection. I don't care what technology.
No.
There's no.
And it may come in a few decades.
Yeah.
But in our current lifetime and for the next while here, and again, I believe in technology. We use technology without without the advancement of medicine, I wouldn't be able to stand here right now after the fire. But at this point, we can leverage the technology to help the therapist, but we still use the humans to help humans.
Unbelievable, guys. I've really enjoyed this, and you guys are fascinating. What you guys are doing is groundbreaking and helping the world get better. And I'm super happy we spent this afternoon together.
Me too.
Me too.
Thank you. Look forward to delivering your shirt in person.
I can't wait to see you guys. I'm gonna come over. I'll probably come over within the next 3-4 weeks. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
So I'll be in touch with you guys.
We have the Feel Good Friday concerts, which we now live stream.
Okay.
So if you're in one of our locations, let us know. You could come. We have a couple of seats in the back, and if not, check out our live stream and watch Richie perform on Friday afternoons.
I'll be watching you smile.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. I'll be in touch with you guys. And for the audience, if this show touched you in any type of way, I'm sure it did, and you can share the show with somebody you know, love, and trust, please go ahead and share it with them. Give them the words of these two amazing men and the work that they're doing in the world. And until next time, guys, stay determined.
Shawn French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time, I confirmed it. A whole society determined to show.